And welcome back. Or if you're new here, just welcome. My name is Rusty, and this is my channel where I talk about my favorite movies, mostly horror, and my favorite music, mostly metal. And now we are going to talk about Megan Fox's lauded, anticipated, long-awaited, and wanted return to the horror genre with Till Death. Now, Till Death is one of those movies. I have a Vudu and Movies Anywhere, and I think I just topped 400 movies in my digital Vudu library. Only 22 or 21 I bought. The rest have all been from digital codes from physical purchases. Till Death was a rare one that I bought, and I never paid more than $4.99 for any of them, of the ones I bought. But I bought it because I got tired of waiting for it to come at a decent price. It was like, this is really expensive. And it paid off, though, because here recently I managed to find it in a sale. It was 70% off, and it was still $8 at like 70% off. So you do the math. And so I was very happy to finally have it on physical. Yes. Now, this is a survival horror film. It was released in 2021. It was directed by S.K. Dell, very well. And it was written by Jason Carvey. And it stars Megan Fox, Eoin Macken, and Callan Mulvey. Now, we open the movie being introduced to Emma, played by Megan Fox. Emma is having an affair on her husband, Mark. And we are introduced to Tom, who stops by. This is the guy she's having an affair with. And she breaks up with him and tells him that it's the anniversary of her wedding. Of course. It's her wedding anniversary. She's going to go out to dinner with her husband, which they do. I immediately thought he was an asshole, and you can tell why she is so unhappy. So they go. Now, while they're at the office, I only saw this one time yesterday, so I'm depending heavily. So at the office, we see her look through a case file on his desk. He used to be a prosecutor, or now he's a prosecutor, or he used to be a prosecutor. Anyway, her case file is there, and we look at it, and we see that she was almost murdered in an attempted robbery. She was stabbed and beaten. And he was looking at the case file, and this is how they met. He was the detective on the case, or the prosecutor on the case. So they go to dinner, and then he's got a surprise for her at dinner, and that is whatever anniversary. I think it's 11th. Their 11th anniversary, and the medal is steel. So he has this really cool steel choker necklace for her. So she puts that on. She buys him 2 Super Bowl tickets, which he leaves in the bill, where you leave your tip. He left them in the bill, which should have been a sign right there, but I didn't catch that. I thought he just left them because they actually can't stand each other. But he actually left it in the tip slip of their bill, and the waitress definitely her eyes nearly popped out of her head for 50-yard. I guess that means I hate American football, but I think the 50-yard line, seats at the 50-yard line. So I think that's pretty expensive for the Super Bowl. So this waitress got one hell of a tip. You know what I'm saying? And so he takes her off and he makes her put a blindfold on, and they go for like an hour. And she gets tired of it. And right when she starts to freak out, she takes it off because he won't tell her where they're going. And they arrive at a lake house, their lake house that they own, big, beautiful mansion type lake house. He tells her to go in, and there's a rose petal trail, and she goes through it, and it's all romantic and shit like that. And he tells her that they, that he knows their marriage has been rather rocky in the last few years, and he wants to make up for it and start again and stuff like that. And she actually falls for it, and they get it on. And then the next morning, so you're totally disarmed at this point because, nothing really bad is happening and you're waiting for it. Well, here it comes. So she wakes up in the bed and she's like, starts to move around and it's like, hey, what are you doing? Because he's sitting there fully dressed in a suit on the side of the bed. And she's like, hey, good morning and stuff like that. And then she realizes that she is chained, handcuffed with a long chain. I'd say that chain's about 3 feet, 2 feet, no, 3 feet. So it's a long chain, but she's like chained to him, handcuffed to him. And she kind of like sits up and she's like, what the fuck is this, right? And then he turns to the side and he says, time to wake up, and then blows his fucking brains out all over her. So I was like, I jumped. I was, what the fuck? Okay. Well, that was fucked up and not the way I thought this was going. Because, I don't really go and, get the story before I watch a movie. That's kind of stupid. So I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? So she's like chained up to him. So she's in shock. She can't get loose. The phones are all out. She goes to the bed phone and it's out. She tries to shoot the chain, but there is no bullets in the gun. There was only the one he needed to blow his brains out. And let me tell you, it's very graphic. And they keep showing it. And you're like, I wish you would stop showing his head, or what's left of it. So she's chained up to him. She tries to get, like I said, to the phone, and it's out. Only one bullet in the gun. That was to kill himself with. She's going to try to drag him outside, ends up falling down the stairs. Then she says, wait a second, where's my phone? So she goes and finds her phone in the vase of roses in the water. So it's ruined and she can't use it. So I'm starting to kind of think, well, obviously this was planned, but goddamn. You know what I mean? So they're way out there in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of winter, in this fucking frozen lake, So her phone is in the water vase. She goes in the kitchen. There's no utensils, nothing at all. The house is completely bare. She does look in the garbage can and finds the car keys, so he did kind of fuck up there. With a bunch of rose petals. Turns out, though, he didn't really fuck up. She goes out to the car and cranks it up, and it quickly dies. because it's completely out of gas. And she turns around and looks, and there's a hose sticking out of the tank, and he's drained all the petrol out of the car. So, dude is like, he had to sit and plan this shit for a while. You know what I mean? So that's when I was kind of like, did he know about the affair? Is that what this is about? So she sits there in the car and she's like, fuck. Now, of course, she's having to drag his full-grown man body everywhere she goes. So his half-blown off head and him are sitting in the passenger seat with her. And the CD that starts playing in the car, you know, is playing music. And she's like sitting there going, what the fuck? Wow. And all of a sudden you hear him, and it scares you as much as it does her, because she like looks at him like, what the fuck did you just say? So, but it's him on the CD. So it's a CD. And he kind of tells her, you know, that he can't believe she's made it this far, but if she's made it this far, that's all right. That he's proud of her. The CD has a message, and that he did do it because of the affair, but not completely, is what he said, but he doesn't elaborate. So she ends up like dragging him back to the basement. So keep that in mind. All of this stuff that I'm telling you, she's having to do with this big motherfucker's dead body hooked to her. So she ends up dragging him to the basement. They go to the basement. That thing is gone, completely clear. All the tools, everything is gone. So back inside in the dark room, she finds another taped message, because all of the pictures that he had originally had up that night of their wedding and stuff was replaced by private investigator photos of her with Tom and stuff like that. So there's also pictures of that guy that tried to kill her in the robbery. So she comes out of the dark room and she hears a car coming. And we realize during that flashback, when she sees all those pictures, that she had stabbed one of his eyes out, that guy who tried to kill her. So she hears a car coming, and I'm like, oh my God, that's them, isn't it? And it comes and bangs on the door, and she slams it in his face, and he's like, what the fuck's going on? Well, it's Tom. So she opens the door, and she's like, you know, he's like freaking out, going, I got a message to come out here, and yet I can't get him on the phone, so here I am. What? You know, and she's like, what? So she ends up telling him, opening the door, showing him the body she's attached to. She lets him in, shows him the body. He's shocked. She asks, you know, what do we do? You got to go get some help. And he starts being like, well, hold on. This doesn't look real good. Me and you, did he do this because he knew it? And she's like, Tom, I need you to take a breath. Okay? I have been chained to this motherfucker who blew his brains out all over me. All day. Call the fucking police. And he's like, yeah, but you wiped off your face. And she's like, I wiped my dead husband's brains off my face. I don't care if they have questions about that or not. I want this motherfucker off me. Now call the cops. So he finally is like, okay, well, all right. And then she also says, and here's another thought for you. Considering how he has set up all of this nightmare scenario, why do you think he left messages to get you out here? I think you need to go call the cops. So I'm like, yeah, dude. I doubt he called you out there for nothing. Well, we hear another car coming at this time. So he makes her stay inside. He goes outside and he talks to this dipwad who's like, well, I'm here to fix I was told to come out here to fix the pipes or something. So he's like, well, how much did you charge? 200. Well, here's 250. Now go away. And the guy's like, yeah, but, can I use your facilities? So Tom's like, wait a second. Why you keep trying to get in the house? What's up? Another guy gets out of the truck, walks right up there, and just starts stabbing him to death. Stabs him to death right there. She, of course, has heard this commotion and has pulled her and this dead motherfucker around the corner. And they come in. They make it very clear that they're looking for her. And the brother, have I wrote their name yet? Because I can't remember their name. But the brother, he's like, wait, oh my God, dead body. Oh, you killed him. So you can kind of tell that he didn't know what the plan was, but the other guy is the leader. It's his older brother. So he's like calming him down and saying, shut the fuck up. It'll all be all right. We have got to get into the safe, and I'm not leaving without the safe. And she's probably got the combination. Right? So Tom is stabbed to death. And that's when she realizes that the older one is the attacker. It's the guy. That's why he had that case file out. He was somehow getting him out of jail so that he could come and do this. This is Jim and Bob. Jim is the little brother, and Bob is the big one. So they came in to look for her. She tries, to get to the boathouse. When she does get out there, Jim follows and sees the body. Because when she was in the boathouse, she finds an anchor. It's the first thing that she has found that can help her. She ends up like cutting her husband's, cutting Mark's 2 fingers off right here so that she can get the cuff off with the anvil. So when Jim comes out there, he finds the body. She's hiding over there underneath the boat. And Bob comes in and is like, she's around here somewhere. Right. So they try to get into the safe, but they need her for the combination, they think. She manages to get away from them, to try to get to the car. Because she got gas. She got petrol from the boat. So she's like taking it over there. And she stripped her husband by now. He's in nothing but his underwear. Because she was in nothing but her underwear. And there's no other clothes but a wedding dress in the whole house. And so she's been using the wedding dress to lay her husband on to pull him, to make it easier to pull him, like a sled. And she took his shirt and pants off so that she have something to wear, because there's nothing in the house and it's covered in snow outside. So that's a little thing you have to keep in mind too. So she gets petrol from the boathouse and she takes it and she's going to put it in the SUV to get out of there. But Bob follows, and he cuts the tires. So, plan foiled. Plan number 25 of hers is now foiled. So, she manages to get back into the basement, where she almost get caught because the little brother Jim, he's dragging the body of Mark up to the safe because they're going to need his fingerprint. And Bob is coming through the basement. She's in the stairs by the door and Bob. So she's stuck in between them. Jim is right here pulling the body past the basement door, and he's coming up the stairs when she does pull a good one, and that is she sets off the car alarm. That makes them both run, so she got out of that. Bitch is slick. I will give her that. So she sets off the alarm. That, kind of helps her to get away. Jim is now completely freaking out. He wants to leave, and his brother is like, I'm gonna beat your ass. I'm gonna kill you if you don't shut up. Stuff like that. And Bob is like that he has to get her. So he goes up into the attic following, because she's got to be in the house. There's a good scare there, a good jump scare, and then she ends up like knocking Bob out, and he falls through the roof on the floor below, hits him with a golf club, and she runs down there to get to their truck, but Bob gets to her and knocks her out. So she wakes up chained to Mark again, sitting in front of the safe. She then tells them, I do not know the combination to the safe. And the guy's like, yeah, you really do. Because he told me that it's your wedding anniversary, so you may not have known it, but you did and didn't know. So what the fuck is your anniversary date? So he's like, okay. Now Bob is going to torture her to get that information that I just gave you. But Jim is like had enough, and he freaks out. He's not going to do it. So he ends up pulling that gun that was under the bed when all of this started. Remember the gun that Mark shot himself with? Now, I, of course, and you, and Emma, knows that that gun's got no bullets. It only had one in it, and he used it. So she knows that Bob is being held by an empty gun, but Jim doesn't know that, and Bob doesn't know that, so it's working for the moment. She finally says that she will give the date, the combo, if he will cut her loose. So they do, and she does. They open the safe, and there's nothing in it but a hacksaw. And on this hacksaw is written something about, I didn't write it down, but it's basically, the diamonds that you seek are in the chain around a pretty neck or something like that. So that's when they all realize that, I keep wanting to call her Jennifer, but Emma is like, oh my God, the diamonds are in that steel choker that she has been trying to get off all day. It won't come off. It's made to never come back off once you do it. So that hacksaw was meant for them to cut her head off so they could get the diamonds. So you're like, damn, man, this Mark guy was pissed. there were 50 different points during this movie at which she could have died. But if she managed to get all the way to the end, he still had the ace card. And that is that these motherfuckers can't get the diamonds. They're in the necklace and they have to cut her head off to get it. So Jim is like, hell no, he's not going to do that. And so they start fighting. Because Bob is going to, like, you know. Well, he actually, does he try to shoot? I think he made, yeah. Bob gets the gun from him during the fight and he tries to shoot Emma, but there's no bullets. That's when Jim attacks. Tussle, tussle, tussle. He throws him up against the wall, not realizing that he just threw his baby brother up against a clothes hook. So that was a scene straight out of that movie with Christian Slater, where that dude, you know, that Very Bad Things, that's that movie, because they accidentally kill that girl by throwing her up against the wall, and she hits her head goes onto a hat thing, a hook. So that's exactly what happens to this. So his fucking brother is hanging there, and it's really gross. With this hook, he's dead, and then his head rips and falls off. Yeah. So that upsets Bob. I mean, it was his brother. So that freaks him out. Because he's impaled on the wall hook by Bob. He attacks her. She KOs him. And cuffs him to Mark. Because remember, they had let her go. So during the fight, she managed to cuff him to Mark. And then she takes off and gets to the car, but Bob follows, dragging that body, of course. So I guess he's getting a little taste of what she's had to do all day. She does manage to get loose, but because of him right there trying to get her, she ends up like wrecking the car into the boathouse. And plows him through it as well. But he's still alive. And of course he's still attached to Mark. So she starts crawling out into what would have been the middle of the lake. Because, you know, the lake is frozen over. So she is like crawling out there. And he is coming behind her, dragging Mark's body. She can feel the ice cracking underneath her across the way, you know. But Bob does manage to catch up to her, dragging Mark's body, of course. He gets her, he tries to stab her, but instead she moves out the way. He stabs the ice. She gets the knife. She stabs him in the shoulder. He falls, the ice breaks. When he falls and hits the ice, it busts open. He goes, Mark's body goes, which drags him in. And right as he goes in, he grabs her and pulls her in. So they're all three being drugged down by Mark's body. And Bob's holding her really tight. I guess it's like, if I'm going, you're going too. She manages to reach up, though, get the knife out of his shoulder, and then stab him in the other eye. Well, the motherfucker only had one eye to begin with, right? So she stabbed him in the other eye, which he definitely lets her go at that moment. The body is dragging him and his blind ass down to the bottom of the lake to his death. And she is up there now with the knife, trying to get away, and she does manage to finally get enough, because it's hard to swing and stuff in the water. But she managed to get the knife through, cracks the ice, gets a hole, crawls out, and is laying there just like that. That's the end scene of the movie. The only The only thing that's different is that she's not chained to anyone, which is what it shows on this picture. She's chained to somebody. That's just for, I guess, for the movie. But that is the final scene of the movie, though, right there. It's just that there is no chain hooked to her arm. Because Bob and Mark are hooked together. So she rolls over like that, and she's laying there, and you hear the sirens coming, because earlier she had managed to get off a partial 911 call, but that Bob guy had stopped it before it went, before she could say anything. But of course, we know in this day and age that it immediately backtracks. So she's laying there just like that on the ice, and you hear the sirens coming. So that's when the movie ends. Now, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I was on the edge of my seat very, very often during this movie. It was written very, very well because, of course, there's not a lot of dialogue until the guys show up, right? There's dialogue at the beginning, and then there's dialogue at the end. But like the big portion, a big portion of this movie in the middle, there's not really a lot of dialogue except her screaming at a dead body and being very angry and pissed off and scared. So most of the writing is actually, this happens, she does this, she does that. And it was great. I mean, it was really, really good. The way that they set this all up, the physical acts that she had to perform, the escape room type mentality that you have to use while watching this movie, because everything that you think of to try, she does. I'm like, use the phone. Oh, it's dead. Oh. Where's your phone? You had a phone. Oh, it's in the water. Kitchen? Get a knife? Oh, it's all been removed. Shoot the chain with the gun. Oh, he only had one bullet in it, and he took care of that. What am I going to do? So, it was really cool the way that every idea that you came up with for her to use, she came up with it too, and was like, that didn't work. So it was like an escape room mentality of you trying to figure out, what the fuck do I do? I mean, of course I'm going to cut his hand off or some shit. But there was nothing sharper than a rose petal in that house. There was the vase. Yeah. There was that vase of roses. It looked glass. But you'd play Merry Hell trying to cut somebody's hand off, or at least their thumb. You'd play Merry Hell trying to do that with a piece of glass from a glass vase. You're going to need something like, that was the one thing he forgot, was that anchor on that boat. Because that had a sharp end, and it was big and powerful, and could be used to chop. So she was able to chop his thumb off, and that meat right there, so she could get that handcuff off. So it was pretty brilliant, and he was a angry motherfucker, is all you can say. Now Tom did tell her when he was there before he got stabbed to death. He did tell her that the FBI had raided the office that morning, and that he was under investigation for a bunch of corrupt a bunch of corrupt actions in cases that he worked on. So that's what he meant in that message in the car that said, yes, yes, I did this because of you. What do you call it? Your disobedience. Her disloyalty and disobedience, cheating on him because she was trash. That's basically what he told her. You were nothing when that thing happened to you and you got robbed. You were nothing but a half-employed photographer, and I'm this rich person who, played Pygmalion and took you to this rich, beautiful life that we've led, and you dared cheat on me. But he had said it wasn't just for that. Now, we knew when we heard Tom say that, we knew what the other stuff was, and that was he was under investigation for corruption, so he knew the FBI was coming. So he killed himself for 2 reasons, not 1. But he was still going to take her ass with him for that other reason, the cheating part. He wasn't going to leave her with whatever he was going to have left. So, yeah. It was a great movie. It was really nail-biter, really kept me on the edge of my seat. It was really gross. It was gross. And exciting. I liked it. I liked it a great deal. And that was Till Death. Lots of twists. Nice, interesting situation. Very unique little movie. We could always, it's always good when something unique comes along that maybe you haven't seen a lot of. So, yeah, I liked a new story. I don't mind clones, and, you can give me a Friday the 13th every fucking year, long as the people are pretty and the knives are sharp. And the kills are good. Butt shot for me, boob shot for you. I'll take one every year. But I also like when something new comes along. And a new story, something I haven't seen before. And this was really good. Till Death, Megan Fox. If you've seen it, let me know what you think about it. And I will see you in the next thing I do. Love you, miss you, bye. I thank you very much if you took the time to listen to me ramble on and spotlight this wonderful movie. And I hope you give it a chance and check it out. It's really good. I think Megan Fox did really good. She could have been a scream, she could have been a scream queen. Come back. You can do this. You can do this thing. What else you doing? To tell you the truth, Megan, I'm going to be honest with you. Granted, I'm a horror fan, but I also I've got drama, I've got action, I've got sci-fi. Only thing I don't have a lot of is comedy. Maybe that's what you've been doing. I don't know. But I know you from Jennifer's Body. I know you from this. I don't know any fucking thing else you did. Come on back. We'll take you back. You can be a new scream queen for us, okay? It's okay. What matters... Hey, Dee Wallace is a fucking millionaire a bunch of times over just for making us scream. Okay? Being a scream queen is not a bad thing. Ask Jamie Lee Curtis. So, come on back. We'll welcome you back. This was a very good return. And I'll see you folks the next thing I do. If you want to leave a comment and let me know what you think of this, I would appreciate it. And I do really appreciate you stopping by, like, comment, share, do whatever you would like. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.